Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. Welcome to another episode. As you could tell by the title, this episode is for my single ladies. This is for single ladies. So I too am in this category. So I thought maybe I'd give some things. I don't even want to say tips, because I too am growing and am learning through this phase that I'm in, also in this season. But maybe just to share with you some of the things that I have been doing that has been helping me through this season. Because it can be tough when you are waiting for marriage, and that's something that you really desire to have, and it's not showing up, and you're getting older, and now you're starting to question the Lord. You're getting frustrated, and you see all these other people getting married. I get it can be tough, you know what I mean? However, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't have days where I'm like, oh, I wish, I had a husband. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying there's not days that I don't feel that, because of course I do. But what I do try to do is I try to snap out of it when I do have these moments where I'm feeling super down or frustrated about the fact that I don't have this. One of the things I do is I just try to focus on where God is trying to take me now. And a lot of this is going to consist of me bringing up some story times, right? Hold on, I'm gonna have to write notes. Because as my mind is going, I'm going to forget the different things I want to talk about. So it's going to require me to go into story time. So I try to focus on where God is trying to take me, because I do believe God is trying to take me somewhere. Obviously, I don't know where, what, but I'm just trying to stay focused on Him and trust that wherever He's trying to take me, that because I'm leaning on Him to take me there, that's where I'm on my way to. You know what I mean? Because I also overthink sometimes. I'm like, well, Lord, I don't want to, I'm looking to You. I want the path that You want for me, but I don't want to mess around and get caught up in my own desires and my own wants and my own, you know what I'm saying, me getting caught up in fear of missing this and missing that I end up making a bad choice. So sometimes I even find myself basically losing trust in the Lord because I'm overthinking everything. So I have to so I basically am trying to focus on I'm trying to focus on wherever God is trying to take me, which is going to take me into another story time, which is it's going to take me into, I'm finna take you into story time. Okay. So when the Lord first called on me, right? When I believe the Lord was first calling on me, when I first got the mind want to call Him, and I get deeper into this on one of my first video like this, where I kind of talk about these more spiritual kind of things. I talk about the first time that God was calling me. I feel God pulling on me, or I believe God was calling me. So if y'all want to look deeper into that, you can check out. It's on my other channel. It's on my Mela channel. But anyway, so God was calling me because I got the mind to want to know the Lord. I got the mind to want to know the Lord out of nowhere. I just decided I didn't want to do things my way. I wanted to do things God's way. So this was like early mid-20s. I say like mid-20s. And the Lord, and so I started like reading my Bible more, going to church, and I don't know where I had no understanding, that I have now. I didn't know very much at all. I just knew that I want to do things God's way, because that's obviously going to be the right way to go. To the furthest of my understanding, God was pulling on me. So, but what happened was I ended up allowing myself to get distracted. And I ended up getting involved with somebody, which ended up taking me off of the path that I believe God was trying to put me. Wherever He was trying to take me, I allowed myself to get distracted because I got involved with somebody. And that person ended up becoming my main focus. And me not having much understanding about God and him calling you and leading you, everything that I know now, I just got fully engulfed in that situation, that relationship. And the whole thing just ended up being a disaster that took me way, you know what I mean? I ended up all the way back into the world. Like I said, honestly, I was never saved to begin with. You know, I was never out of the world, but I was like coming out. You know what I mean? I was like taking the steps towards wherever God was trying to take me, but I allowed myself to get distracted. All right, so fast forward to today's time. I'm gonna say it was maybe like 2 years ago. Now this is after I've, after I've come back to the Lord, after getting off the path for like 5 years. I finally made myself back to the Lord, and this time I have understanding. It's like a whole nother level now. Obviously I'm completely sold out for God. I've completely turned my life over to him. But, fast forward to about 2 years ago. Now the first time, the story I was just telling you about where I allowed myself to get distracted, this was like 10 plus years ago. So we're going to fast forward from 10 years ago to about 2 years ago, right? So now, I'm talking 2 years ago. I'm back on my walk with God, and this time I'm serious about it because I have more understanding and I get it and da da da. So, as I'm turning my life back over to God, I'm not in a church yet. So, I'm not in a church because back then I wasn't in church, but I left the church because I went back to the world. But now I'm like, I'm back on track with the Lord, and he's kind of started dealing with me about getting back into church. So I end up finding this church that I want to check out, right? Go there. First day that I go there is like a Sunday. First day I go there, I'm like, okay, I like this church. I think I'll come back for more. Day two, I get to this church, and I know this ain't got nothing to do with. This is like a story of me telling you about how focused I am about staying on track with the Lord. So anyway, day two, I go to church, and this is like my second day at this church ever, right? And I get approached by this guy. And this guy, he works in the church. I think he's like, I think he's more than just a volunteer. I think he's like literally on payroll. And so he approaches me and he's like, hey, how you doing? He introduces himself. He's like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, you new here, da da da. And, and I'm not thinking anything of it at first because he's got a uniform. But then he starts like asking me questions. He's like, he started asking me questions like, how old are you? Do you have kids? And I'm like, what I'm saying? So at first I'm thinking this is maybe just part of like what they do here at this church. You know what I mean? They see somebody new and they go up and try to like get information out of them. So at first I'm just like answering the questions. I'm a little confused, but I'm like, okay, I guess. But then he goes and like, so what are you looking for? He just starts bombarding me with questions, and I'm just like sitting in the chair, and he's like standing over me, and I'm like talking. He's like bombarding me with questions, and I'm like, what the freak? And he goes, so what are you looking for? And I'm like, huh? He's like, what you looking for? You looking for a boyfriend, a husband, a boo thing? And I'm like, oh no, I'm not looking for none of that. I was like, I'm literally like, nah, I'm just here at the church. I'm not looking to deal with nobody. So we're gonna fast forward from that moment 2 months later. 2 months later, I'm at the same church, still, because I've obviously decided to stay at this church. So 2 months later, I'm walking out, and 2 months later, I'm at a service. This time at a different service, because at the time when I first started going there, the church that I go to has like 3 services. And the first couple times that I went, I would go to the third service, which is like at 11:30 or something like that. And but fast forward 2 months later, I'm at the second service, which is like at 10. So as I'm walking out, now this is 2 months later after that first interaction with this guy. This is 2 months later. So I'm walking out the service, and this older woman grabs me and like pulls, and she grabs me and she's like, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And she was like, "Hey," she was like, "I have a friend." So she's like, and he wanted me to come speak to you because, you know, he's working or whatever. She's like, you know, he can't you know, he didn't want to stop what he was doing, but he didn't want to misuse. He was like, so, you know, he was like, hey, he was asking me like, hey, do you know who that girl is with the gray dress? Because on this day I had like a gray dress on. And she was like, no, I've never seen her before. And he was like, you know, could you go talk to her for me? So she's telling me all of this, and I'm like, okay. You know, I'm thinking to myself like, well, who is it? And she goes, you know, she grabs me. She's like, well, turn around. He's the guy over there on the stage. So I turn around, and it's the same guy from 2 months ago. She was like, so, you know, he wanted to know if, you know, you if you didn't mind exchanging numbers. And at first I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking in my head like, so I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll give him my number. You know, because I didn't want to reject him in front of her, you know what I'm saying? And she was like this older little nice lady, so I'm like, I don't even want to reject him, you know what I'm saying, in front of her. Because she's like really like selling it, bro. So it seems like she really wants this to happen for him. So I don't want to be like, no, you know, I feel bad, which I should not have. Obviously you shouldn't feel bad about rejecting somebody that you just not interested in. But I was just like, man, okay, fine. Sure, he can have my number. And she's like, okay. So then she whips out this notebook, and I'm like, what the? She whips out this notebook, and then she starts asking me a list of questions that I guess he had for her to ask me. And as she's asking me these questions, I'm like, I done answered these questions before. So she's asking like, you have kids, how old are you, and stuff like that. And I'm like, he already knows this. So anyway, to me, that was sort of like a red flag. Because I'm thinking to myself like, okay, this could mean one or two things, right? Either one, this guy likes me so much that he has forgotten either this guy likes me so much that he done hollered at me twice and don't even remember it because his memory sucks. Or number two, he's out here hollering at so many women that he don't remember who he has hollered at and who he hasn't. It's one of these two. So after I give her my number, I walk out and I'm like, man, what the freak did I just do? Like, I should have just said no. So I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen is this is gonna blow him, because he's probably thinking like, oh, she gave me her number so she's interested. And it's like, no, I'm not. But I gave you my number because I'm a freaking coward in the conversation. You know, and I'm real cool about it, you know, because I'm still, you know, willing to talk to him, you know what I'm saying, like have a conversation with him. But I was trying to make it clear, like, I'm not trying to date, I'm not trying to do any of that. I just genuinely did not feel comfortable getting into another date type situation. I didn't want to. I felt like I wasn't ready for that yet. I felt like, you know, whatever God is trying to do with me, I don't want to get distracted again. And I even prayed about it. You know, I prayed about it like, you know, Lord, if he is the one, then, you know, could you show me? Because I don't want to be that person who foolishly rejects the man that you're trying to send to me, you know what I'm saying? But there's been nothing to make me feel, there's been nothing that I feel like is God leading me to him, you know what I mean? And so, but anyway, long story short, focus on God and whatever he may be trying to do in your life for the time that you're single. Because if you're in a single season, it's for a reason. There's a reason why God has you single right now. And I know sometimes people will make you feel like, oh no, you're single because you single, because you done messed up, because you da. And it's like, stop listening to people. That's another thing that I want to get into before I got into that story, is get off of social media, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on. I'm about to restart this recording before I get into this. So the first thing that I basically was trying to get out, what I was trying to get out of this story, but I ended up taking you through all the details, was focus on whatever God's trying to take you. You know, understand that if you're in a single season and you've been living your life for the Lord, that there may be a purpose or something that he wants to do in your life before he brings you your husband. You know what I mean? So, or before he makes your wife. You might not be ready to be a wife. You may not be prepared to be a wife. God can't give you what you want. God loves us so much that he will prepare us for what we want first. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to give you something that you're not ready for, that you're not prepared for. He might be like, look, I want you to have a husband, but the state that you're in right now, if I give him to you, you're going to run him off. So I got to get you together first. But we have to submit to that. You know what I'm saying? We have to submit to what God is trying to do, because if we don't, we're going to end up jumping into a situation prematurely, you know what I'm saying, and screw it up. You know what I'm saying? So focus on what God is trying to do. How do you do that? You stay in prayer. Stay in prayer and talk to the Lord. I would definitely recommend fasting. You know, I've started implementing fasting into my lifestyle, and during the day that I'm fasting, I'm trying to do it a little at a time, you know, so I may take like one day out the month where I'll fast, and then I might like bump it up to like, you know, maybe every, you know what I mean? Like right now I'll do like one day out the month, I'll fast. And during the time that I'm fasting, I'm praying and I'm reading the word during the day. You know what I'm saying? Because that's also a way that you can get close to God is fasting. You know, so if you're, well, like, okay, well, Lord, if you're trying to do something in my life, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to take me? So maybe you should, you know, pray. Maybe you should fast and pray and, you know, see what God is trying to do, where he's trying to take you. One thing I would also want to say is, you know, kind of get off social media. And when I say get off social media, I'm not saying that you can't have a social media. You know what I'm saying? But when I say get off social media, like, get off all this scrolling stuff. Like, get on your social media to do what you need to do. You know, if you're on there, you know, like, I'll get on Instagram. Obviously, I'll post videos here and there. Or I'll, you know, I'll look at shop. You know, I do shopping on Instagram. You know, there's like little stores on Instagram that you can shop at, or I'll look at some of the people that I watch on YouTube. They also are active on social media. Stuff that's like in the circle of what I like to look at. But there's even been times where I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'll come across these different videos of people expressing their different opinions about different situations. And that kind of stuff can really start to mess with your spirit. Because the thing about social media is anybody and their mama can jump on social media and make an Insta story or make a YouTube video or make a podcast or make a TikTok expressing their personal opinion about a situation. And the opinion could be very ignorant. It could be very miseducated. You know what I'm saying? You know, but people are allowed to do that. And with social media, if you have a large following, or if you have a large following of people who are in agreement with you, then people start to see, oh, well, those must be facts because they got 100,000 likes, or it's 5,000 people that agree with her or agree with him. And it's like, no, that just means there's 100,000 people that have the same opinion, but that doesn't make it right. If you're someone who isn't mentally strong enough to understand that these are just people personal opinions about this situation, it doesn't make it facts, it doesn't make it law, it's just how they feel, and they're entitled to feel however the freak they want to feel, but that don't make it right. That don't make it your truth. You know what I'm saying? So someone who maybe doesn't have that understanding could end up being influenced by what this person is saying and then start believing what this person is saying. Some of us may be single because we have this list. And I know y'all have heard about this, I'm sure. This list that a lot of us women have. And if that man does not have specifically what is on your list, then you immediately reject him. Baby girls, okay? Let's put that list up, okay? I'm not saying that you can't have standards, because standards are important. We need standards, okay? Because in that case, if you didn't have standards, you let anybody into your life, okay? There's a difference, though, between having standards and then having these unrealistic physical quality requirements. You know what I mean? So for me, I understand that the man that God may have for me may not be everything that I want him to be physically. So I may not be at first sight super attracted to him. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that if that is the case, that I will become attracted to him. Has any of you ever gotten to a relationship with somebody that you wasn't initially attracted to, but they became attracted to you? So I believe that that could be the case for some people. If God may be showing you a man that you're like, you know, he's not all that fine, but you know what I mean? But it's like he could grow on you, because he may have other things about him that will make him fine to you if you just give him the chance. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying at all to just settle for anything. That don't mean you have to settle for anything, because if you're looking at him and you're just like, no, you know what I'm saying, then hey, then no, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like don't be so strict about how he has to look. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be so dead set on, oh, well, he has to be 6'7". I'm like, yes, I'm, as a woman who I'm with shoes on, I'm 5'6". Flat footed with no shoes on, I'm like 5'5". But with shoes on, I can get 5'6" to 5'7", depending on what kind of shoe I'm wearing. So of course I would like a tall man too, but if he ain't tall, then whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, well, you gotta be at least 6'5", or like, no, you ain't gotta be 6'5". I mean, if you tall, then that's great. But if you're not, then that's cool too, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you, and some women are like, oh, well, he gotta be making this much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand as a woman, you know what I'm saying, that you're gonna want a man that can provide or whatever. If that's y'all dynamic, you know, some people are in a dynamic where it's 50-50. Some people are in you know, you don't know what people's situation is. But I don't think you should be so like, I wouldn't agree to turn a man down because he's not making like rich person money right now, you know, because God could be like, you know what, that one right there is yours, that's your husband, and he might be working a job that ain't paying much at all, and you turn that man down because you don't like his job, you don't think he making enough for you. But what you didn't see is that about 3 years from now, 2-3 years from now, that business that he's been working on behind the scenes that you don't know about, you don't know about this business because you just looked at the fact that he worked this job right here and you ain't give him no chance after that. But meanwhile, he got a business that he working on that you don't know about. In about 2-3 years, that business gonna blow all the way to freak up, and he gonna be making all that money that you require and then some. But you done missed it because you done turned him down because you don't like the way he look right now in the moment. You know what I'm saying? So if God, I'm just saying like this. I'm just going to say it like this. If God is leading you to him, you better take it. Okay? Because God, if God is telling you that's your husband, that's your husband. Period. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to get so caught up in, well, I don't like the way he look and I don't like this and I don't like that. If God, especially if God is being clear about the fact that that's your husband, I don't care what else. You ain't nothing else to talk about. He my husband. That's it. Ain't nothing else to talk about with his job, his looks. If God said that's him, bro. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. We ain't nothing else to talk about. Ain't no more questions. There is also where people will say that, what if God never brings you a husband? What if that husband never shows up? What if it is not God's plan for your future to have a husband? So a lot of women, get really discouraged about that. So you start wondering, what if there won't be a husband? In that case, I feel like that's why we need to focus on whatever God has for us. I personally don't believe it's God's will for any woman to just be out here in these streets single. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's God's will for any woman. However, I don't know what to say about situations like that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to not believe for a husband. All I can say to that is just focus on whatever God is trying to take you. Because if for some whatever reason why God may not have a spouse, a husband for you, then that means that whatever life He has for you is going to be better. You know what I'm saying? If a husband never shows up, I don't know. I can't say, well, God didn't give you a husband because of this dick. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I would still tell you believe and pray to God and talk to God, but focus on what God is trying to take you at in this moment. What do you need me to do now? I want a husband, blah, blah, blah. But what do you want me to do today? You know what I'm saying? Like, what needs to be fixed? What do I need to fix? Because what you don't want to do is be hindering yourself from your blessing. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we hold ourselves up from getting what God's trying to give to us. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I pray about. Like, Lord, don't let me sit here and be in my own way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm doing something and I need to fix that, you know what I'm saying? Like, show me. You know what I'm saying? Don't let me just sit here and be, you know what I mean? I'm doing something wrong that's holding me up and I don't realize it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm, get me right, Lord. Get me right so that I can be worthy of the things that you want to give me. I don't want to be holding myself up. You know what I'm saying? So I think most women, Christian women, would like a man who is first and foremost a man of God. I'm speaking for me now. He has to be a man of God. First and foremost, you know what I'm saying? I want him to have, his life already sold out to the Lord before he even come into each other's lives, because that's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? My life is already turned over to God now. You know what I'm saying? So when he come into the picture, it's not going to be a situation where, oh, my walk with God started because of my husband. Like, no. My walk with God been going on before he got here. You know what I'm saying? So now in the issue of all this other stuff like finances and all of that, like, yeah, obviously those things are conversations that need to be had. If you think about marrying somebody, you got to talk about credit, you got to talk about finances, you got to talk about goals, you got to talk about all these other things, you know what I'm saying, to make sure everything lines up. So yeah, that's just a few things. That's a few of the top things, that I would need for him to be. You know what I mean? Now, looks and all that other stuff, like, you ain't got to be the finest, because I'm not the finest. So why would I put all this physical looks pressure on him when, you know what I mean? Like, some of us need to come into reality to where we stand on the look scale ourselves, because some of us, some of us ladies, you know what I'm saying, we looking for a man talking about, yeah, he got to be 6'7", and he got to look like this, he got to be a size this, and he got to dress like this. And it's like, okay, baby, but if you find him, is he even going to want you? I mean, it's a valid question. Sometimes we got to keep it real with ourselves. What you look like, baby? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying, because some of y'all really pretty, you know what I'm saying? And you may actually 100% pull this super fine man that you're looking for. But some of us, we need to, you know what I'm saying, come back, come to reality, okay? The man that you're rejecting may really just be on your same page, boo. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm running out of time because I definitely don't want to start this recording over a third time. So I'm going to wrap this video up. And like I like to say at the end of all my videos, if you're in sin, come out of sin, bro. Come out of it, because Jesus is coming back and you do not want to be thrown in that lake of fire, bro, okay? You don't want to be. I know a lot of us walk around this life and we just living life and do and we're not thinking about Jesus. We're not thinking about our soul. But I'm telling you, bro, think about it. Jesus is coming back, and he's coming back soon. Y'all looking at the news and all this stuff that's going on. You feel what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if we ain't got another 100 years under our belt. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, more importantly than all this other stuff, all this husband stuff and everything like that, hey, turn your life over to God, because God might be looking at us like, look, I ain't giving you no husband because I'm coming back next week. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's happening, but I'm just saying, we don't know how much more time we got left before Jesus cracked that sky open. So before all of that, for your husband, your career, your da-da-da, your da-da-da, before all of that, let's get our life right with the Lord, man. Repent and turn your life over to God today, bro. And I'm serious, bro. Today, bro. Today, okay? Because before all that other stuff, none of that is gonna matter. Whether you had a husband, kids, career, money, whatever, none of that is gonna matter when it's all said and done. The only thing that's gonna matter is, did you have a relationship with Jesus? Does he know you for real? You feel what I'm saying? Like, when I say know you, have you been living his Father's will? Because Jesus said, anybody who does the will of my Father is my brother, my sister, my mother. So if you trying to, is you family? Are you family? You know what I'm saying? Are you family? Because that's going to be the only thing that's going to matter at the end of the day. You feel me, bro? So yeah, if you enjoyed, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I will see y'all in the next video.